Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to share this piece of my conversation with Dr. Martin MacGregor with you. It was so fun to sit down and pick his brain about the Campbells and the MacGregors. Now, before I turn you over to this piece of my conversation, let me recommend to you that if you have any intention at all in the near future, this coming year, about booking a trip to Scotland, make sure you include Bruce Fumi and Scotland History Tours in part of your plan. Reach out to them. I've got an email link below where you can reach out and ask for packaging options. You can, how many people, how long, where the different places you want to go. Make sure you see what they have to offer. Bruce Fumi is one of the best storytellers in Scotland. He is so knowledgeable about the history of Scotland. He's super passionate about it, and he relates it in a way that's very digestible for anybody of any level. I've been studying about this for years, and he could approach me at that level. I've got kids. He included them in part of this, the information that he shared with us. Ours was around Stirling Castle and the surrounding areas. So make sure you use that email link below and reach out there for information. The other thing I want to recommend is that you contribute to the cause here at Scottish Clans. You can contribute the price of a drink or the price of a book. Either one is welcome. Every little bit counts. You can be a one-time donation, or you can give actually be a reoccurring subscriber to this. And for those people who are reoccurring subscribers, your recommendations for content go to the front of the list. I've already had the chance to indulge some of my subscribers along those lines. So it's been a real treat for me, actually, to see what people are interested in and to tailor my content accordingly. But without further ado, I'm pleased to share this part of my conversation with Dr. Martin MacGregor. You can also click the link for the whole conversation and other chunks of this conversation that I had with him. Kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for the government was the Battle of Glenfruin, correct?
That's correct, yes, for sure.
So this is where we're connected, me and you, is because I have MacFarlane ancestry.
Ah, yes.
And I don't know how it's told on the MacGregor side of it, but on the MacFarlane side of it, we're like, yeah, we were there. There was a bunch of us in there. And somehow you guys took the hit. Your name was on it.
Yeah, well, there may be various reasons for that, but that's very interesting to hear about your MacFarlane ancestry. And I think MacFarlanes are perhaps one of these clans which is kind of neglected and which could really do with study. And the part of the world from which they hail, the Lennox, as we call it, one of the historic earldoms of Scotland, one of these kind of major divisions, kind of regional provinces, if you like, of Scotland. A very, very interesting area with a grouping of clans there, all with obviously connected histories. And it's an area that came into my thesis a bit, and there seemed to have been, on the whole, I would say, pretty cordial relationships between the MacGregors and MacFarlanes. One of the really interesting things about the MacGregor story, both before and after 1603, before and after the prescription, is the fact that very often when they were in extreme circumstances, they had to rely on society at large, if you want to put it that way, for very basic support, in terms of providing the fundamentals of life to keep them going. And the MacFarlanes seem to be one of those clans who kind of acted in that capacity. Now, there could be political reasons for that at certain periods, and I think there were, but it seems to have been a pretty good relationship, I would say.
I think so, and I think that in various motivations or incentives to be hospitable, to extend that and cultivate that relationship in a time of need for the MacGregors, I don't think that more than one motivation are mutually exclusive. There could have been politics. There could have been an actual relationship between the two that was beyond politics. I don't know, but I agree. It's an area that I would love to dive into. When you say this was not a planned part of our conversation, but you just mentioned that represents kind of that area, that geographical area, the Lennox. There's kind of a cluster of clans. Aside from the MacFarlanes, what others would you be referring to there?
Yeah, well, this is the part of the world, I guess many people will have heard of Loch Lomond, one of Scotland's most famous and most scenic lochs, and it's in geological terms, it's a very interesting part of Scotland because the physical Highland boundary fault, the geological feature which distinguishes highlands from lowlands in geological terms, it runs right through Loch Lomond on a kind of north-east to southwest axis. And so in some ways you've got a kind of almost a microcosm of of Scotland in that area. But you've got the MacFarlanes there. There's the Cahoons of Luss, or another Lennox kindred. The Macaulays of Arden Capel there, perhaps one that one hears less about. The Buchanans, another major kindred in that part of the world. So you do have this cluster, and no one's really kind of studied these various clans of the Lennox. In their own right, I would say. The Galbraiths, I should have mentioned, that's another one. Their name, as often happens, has been anglicised over time, so you kind of lose the sense of the kind of Gaelic origins. But Galbraith is properly in Gaelic, Mach Gevrechtenich, which means literally son of the Briton man, Briton. In other words, somebody who was of the Britons, of that particular people, who effectively we might say were the Welsh, actually, in terms of their origins, Brittonic-speaking people, that particular branch of the Celtic languages. So this cluster of clans, and it looks likely that they all take us back to the ruling lineage of the earldom of Lennox. Lennox was an earldom, and this seems to actually have been one of the ways in which clans could come into being. That where you had these earls in place on the map in Scotland, ruling over a particular part of the country as the kind of chief secular lords beneath the crown. That as that family, the ruling family of the earldom, spread and grew over time, throwing out shoots, that some of these could become kindreds in their own right. And even if the earldom itself went down the kind of main line and ceased to function properly, you have this kind of permanent legacy on the map in terms of a group of kindreds. And one can see that pattern in other parts of Scotland as well. But the Lennox is a really good example.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. It was a pleasure to share that piece of the conversation with Dr. Martin MacGregor with you. Hopefully it was as enjoyable for you as it was for me to visit with him. Just a reminder to use that email address to include Scotland History Tour, specifically Bruce Fumi, and make him part of your plans to visit Scotland and benefit from his knowledge and storytelling ability, as well as jump over and contribute to the cause at Scottish Clans with the link below as well. For that, thank you for joining me. Martin Leven Drasta.